Should be good. I think I recorded it. Okay, we're good to go. All right, so what is the CIA triad? All right, so we're not talking about the CIA, but we're talking about the CIA triad. The CIA triad stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Right, so this is the main model for what we do in cybersecurity. The CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Make sure that you write this fundamental piece of information down, right? Because this is what governs everything we do in cybersecurity, right? We want to make sure that our data is confidential and is not being accessed by people who don't have any reason to access it. We want to make sure people are not prying on our data or intercepting our data when it's moving throughout any network. All right. So this is why confidentiality is important. The next thing we have is integrity. Okay. So remember, this is a review from last week, right? But we understand that integrity is that, hey, the information that we see has not been modified, right? Can we trust this information? Has this information come from a trusted source? And that is the essence of what we learn in cybersecurity. Then the next thing is availability, right? Are we able to get this information at a drop of a dime, right? My information needs to be available at all times. Okay, so some of you who may work in the healthcare industry or healthcare informatics, etc., right? Patient data needs to be available, right? Because without that patient data, how can we see of any illnesses that they may had in the past, or what is their current treatment plan, etc., right? So that is important. This is why we have availability, right? But moreover, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability is applied to every cybersecurity system. Okay. So this is what this stands for, right? Take a good note of it, right? Because we will be using that, right? And during the Security Plus exam, you look at a question, you have to ask yourself, is this talking about confidentiality? Is it talking about integrity? Is it talking about availability? Is it talking about all three? Okay. So that's a good thing to know when you are answering any question about technology or cybersecurity. All right, so what is confidentiality, right? Confidentiality ensures that sensitive information is accessed only by authorized individuals. Okay. Techniques such as encryption and access controls help maintain confidentiality, right? Breaches of confidentiality can lead to severe repercussions to organizations, right? So we're making sure that, hey, if we have an organization of 15 people and, we have, let's just say, uh, customer invoices or invoices from our vendors, the data team does not need to have access to those invoices. Okay. That's just one thing of confidentiality, or maybe the rule of least privilege, right? But having certain people have access to information reduces the chance of a breach. So this is something we must understand when provisioning systems, something we have to understand when giving people access, right? Who has access to what information, and who's the product owner or the owner of this information, and how often do we cycle through these people? All right. So confidentiality that makes sure that, hey, the information is accessed by authorized individuals. Okay. In the military, my military cats in here, right? Top secret, secret. What's the other one? Is it just top secret and secret? Carlos would know, but you have those branches, right? Yeah. Okay, top secret and SCI. What's that, Carlos? Secret clearance or just a regular clearance? I forget.
Yeah, it's
But
more like what they call a compartmental. So depending on the agency you work for, each SCI is a little bit different, and you get read in. Um, and just depends on what information or data you're going to be accessing at that time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, these are the things that happen. All right. Next is integrity, right? So the integrity refers to the accuracy and consistency of data over its lifestyle, right? So all of our information can be stored in a database, but sometimes that information may degrade. Okay. Hey, we might be losing information. Okay. Or someone may have gone in the database and edited it, right? Maybe by accident, maybe on purpose, maybe a disgruntled employee, right? But integrity says, hey, we need to make sure that whatever information you gave to me, whatever information that you sent to me, I need to be able to trust it. Okay. When you go and look at your bank account, right? And it says you have $3 million, and yesterday you checked it and it said, you had, $30,000. You're gonna be like, no, wait, what's going on? You're going to be very confused, right? But can you trust that data, right? Maybe it was likely that you got, $3 million, but at the same time, you just can't believe it, right? That can be integrity, right? Maybe there was an issue with one of the mechanisms that control your bank account numbers, right? I don't know, right? But that would be a loss of integrity, right? My bank account is supposed to show me the exact numbers of what I have in my account. Okay. Sometimes, we accidentally overdraft things where we say, hey, I meant to pay my credit card off. You know, I, I put 5,000 to pay my credit card off and I used 6,000 by accident, but you know, I don't know, maybe an overdraft happened and you felt like your bank did not update you as quickly as possible, right? But we need to have these mechanisms to update us, right? To keep things moving in real time, right? So, in order to make sure that the information is always correct, we have to have hashing mechanisms, right? We have to have checksums, and you'll learn about what those are, right? But at the end of the day, right, whoever I bank with, whoever I uh, have my medical records with, whoever has my transcripts for school, I need to trust them that they're not making any mistakes on the back end, which will harm the integrity of the information that I see. All right. So, very important in cybersecurity. You want to have clean data, you want to have data that has very good quality. And then moving forward, clean data helps us make wise decisions, right? So the data that you see in front of me will help me determine my next step. All right. And that's just why integrity is very important. Availability, again, hey, I want to make sure that those records that I need come up right when I click it. I don't want to wait 4 hours or 6 hours, unless I am trying to revive a whole medical enterprise system, right? I want my information right here, right now. Okay. If I can't get my information right here and right now, that availability isn't good because what if I need to give that information to, I don't know. Maybe I need to give that information to uh, my grandmother, or I need to give it to my sister, right? And she needs to take that information and give it to another person, right? So think of it as a chain, right? We need our information right then and there for us to be effective, for us to make wise decisions, right? So here it says downtime can significantly impact business operations. Okay, so companies have a thing where they have a 99.99% of uptime, right? So that means throughout the whole year, maybe the server is probably down for 5 minutes for maintenance. Okay. Um, Having those downtimes can definitely impact your customer. So whether, for example, it could be Amazon AWS or it could be Azure, right? If we have downtime for Azure or AWS, what does that mean? That means for the rest of the world businesses, that means their website is going to be down for 5 minutes. Okay. Which means that they're losing out on money. They're losing out on customers, or maybe a deal was supposed to go through, right? And imagine your cloud hosting provider going down and you're making a $5 million deal. Okay. Or the infrastructure that they wanted to audit is not working. Embarrassing, right? But this is why availability is important, right? We want to make sure that everything that we have in our infrastructure, data, as well, they're able to be retrieved within a click of a button. All right, so that's availability. Make sure to write these key ideas down. All right. So we went through integrity, right? But also with integrity, you want to make sure you have strong policies, right? So maybe we might have like um a data encryption policy. Okay. So in order for us to maintain integrity, we must have the highest what? Data encryption. Okay. So we might have to have SHA-256. Okay, you'll learn about that later. But we have the highest encryption uh in our organization, and we have a data encryption and policy that everyone must abide to. Okay. Another thing could be, hey, nobody can take customer data and put it on flash drives, right? So we can have a removable media policy. Those policies come in and say, hey, you can't copy and paste this data on a hard drive. If we do catch you doing it, we're going to have a talk with HR, or we're going to have a talk with the main CISO, etc. Right? So having those strong policies can get everyone on board, right? The reason why we have cybersecurity policies, right? We look at it like this, right? We want to have everyone be on this one page of consciousness, right? So when I say that is, if we're an organization, everyone must move on the same beat of the drum, right? Because it takes an organization together to make sure that breaches do not happen. And if they do, it takes an organization to come together and say, how can we defeat this breach that just happened to our company? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a lot of audits, regular assessments, and we're going to keep people accountable, right? We're going to have product owners or just mainly owners. The CISO will get involved. The CISO will have directs, and we'll say, hey, how is the legal department managing its data? Okay, is the legal department making sure that they delete people out the system, um, every 90 days? Are we writing down who enters the system, right? Are we keeping track of logs? All this stuff is important, and all this stuff is what you'll do as a cybersecurity analyst on the job. Okay? Everything that you do as an analyst, everything that you do in cybersecurity, the main mission is to keep the company alive, to make more money. All right? I just want y'all to know that. Right? Most of the stuff that we're doing, make more money. Let's watch out for breaches. We're good to go. Any questions so far? Okay. No questions? All right. I'll look in the chat periodically um as we go. All right. Perfect. Hashing, right? So hashing transformed data into a fixed length string of characters, right, which is unique to the original data, right? So it's primarily used for verifying the integrity of information, right? So again, I talked about hashes like SHA-256 or MD5. MD5 is outdated, but hashing, okay, hashing, think of it again as like a tattoo. All right. So if we hash this password and I check the hash before the password was sent through the network or before the information was sent through the network, that hash should be the same when it comes on my end. Okay. Again, think about it as a tattoo, right? If I see, for example, I have a tattoo on my wrist, right? Say this is the hash feature, right? This is the hash feature. We're going to encrypt some data and we're going to send it through the network. On my end, I better see the same tattoo. Okay. If I see slight variation, right? If I see these two missing, I'm going to say, hey, this hash has been either intercepted or it's not right. Therefore, the information is not confidential. Therefore, I can't trust the information. It has no integrity behind it, right? So understand that hashing will be a big part of the Security Plus book. It'll be a very important piece, okay? Very important on your exam as well. Encryption, we just talked about encryption, right? What we're doing is we're converting plain text into ciphertext, right? Plain text is, hey, enrollment techhublabs.com. Ciphertext is going to take the enrollment techhublabs.com, jumble it all up, give it a series of numerical and alphabet characters, And then as it goes through the network on your side, it should come out and say enrollmenttechupLabs.com, right? So the way I think about it when it comes to encryption, I think about it as a protective shield, right? A casing, right? If you move a guitar, through the airport or through the subway, you're not just going to have your guitar out unless you're playing it, but you want to put it in its case, right? Think about it as glasses, right? You put your glasses in its case before you move it throughout your bag or anything, right? So this is why we have encryption. There are two main types of encryption: symmetric and asymmetric encryption, right? Both of those are different methods of encrypting, um, through the World Wide Web or through a server to a user, etc. All right. So we'll go through that um, as we go through the cohort. All right. Second thing is elasticity. Okay, so elasticity refers to a system of dynamically allocated resource based on demand. Okay, so this is used a lot in IT and cybersecurity. Really depends on performance, workflow fluctuations. So I remember giving you an example last week. We talked about, hey, if it's Black Friday and I have a company and we know that on Black Friday, we're going to have 250,000 people on our website on that Friday, right? And rather us just sitting there and waiting for the traffic to come and possibly exhausting our web server and shutting it down, we have elasticity to what? Improve the demand, right? So it says the word elasticity, right? Think about an elastic, a rubber band, right? You have that rubber band and it stretches either vertical, excuse me, it stretches either horizontal or it stretches vertical, right? We are provisioning resources as demand grows, okay? Sometimes it could be manually. Most of the time now it is automatically, right? Once the system senses that there's so many people coming to our server, it'll say, hey, make a database, load balancer, storage, right? And it will do that. And once that Black Friday season is over, then it just goes back down. All right. So this is something that is very crucial within IT and cybersecurity. The next thing is redundancy. All right. Someone want to read the slide for me? Someone want to read redundancy?
I can.
Redundancy involves duplicating critical components to ensure system reliability. It helps to prevent single points of failure and enhances overall system resilience.
Mm,
Redundant systems can significantly reduce downtime during failures.
absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Emery, I know you wanted to read, so I have a question here for you. Right? We have redundant systems, right? And they ensure reliability. Do you have any examples of anything you see when it comes to redundancy, whether that's personal or, whether it's something that you see on the job, you know, why is redundancy important? And sum it up in your own words, please.
Um, I mean, it's like always backup servers, right? When
Mm,
like so, I'll give you a example. Listen, personal, more recreation, right? I stream TV off of like IPTV servers, right? And
hmm
so there's like for football games, there's the primary set of servers, and then there's a backup. And
mm,
so there's latency on one when it gets too much traffic, and you can tell. And so when it hangs up, when it takes too much time, I could tell it's either overloaded. I'll switch to a backup server, which is kind of like redundancies to streaming the same thing. Because to I think one of your initial classes, right, talked
mm.
about Netflix, I think, right, the
Yeah,
server went down. So that's what I kind of think of when I think of redundancy.
that is a great example. Very, very good example, right? When we're streaming things. Somebody just put me onto this app on the Fire Stick. It's like oh, I forget. It gives you
I,
channels from
I,
everywhere. Huh?
I'll get you. Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think I think it's called like TV Mate or something like that.
There's
Something.
a whole bunch of them. Yeah, we'll talk. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, for sure. really good service, right? But may have some backup servers, right? Those backup servers really help, right? It helps with making sure that there's no interruption or disruption to service, right? Because that's very important. Okay. When we talk about single points of failure, okay, the abbreviation is SPOF. A single point of failure could be, hey, we have our laptop charger and we put it into the socket and it charges our laptop. But it could be a single point of failure. Why? Because when the power goes out, let's say like a snowstorm or a hurricane, the power is going to go out. And that means your laptop will not have a power source. But the way to reduce that is, hey, a generator can reduce a single point of failure, right? Generator can give you that power. It can power up your house, etc., your car, whatever, right? But these are the ways that we're reducing the single points of failure. Increasing that could be a UPS, right? That is an uninterruptible power supply, right? Same thing as a generator. I think these things are battery operated. I haven't touched one in a minute. So we have those things where this enhances our cybersecurity resilience, right? Because we want to be resilient. Our security posture needs to be resilient. Our data, our infrastructure, right? We need it to be strong, right? And that's what helps us as engineers. It helps us as a company to keep up our reputation, to keep up what we do best. All right. So having redundant systems can significantly reduce downtime during failures. All right. Fault tolerance. So fault tolerance is the capability of a system to continue in the event of a failure. All right. So implementing fault tolerance ensures that services remain available despite issues. It could be data replication or automated failover systems, right? So if you see automated failover systems, a good thing to actually know, Amazon Web Services, uh, Azure, Google, what's it called? Google Cloud, right? If your AZ or your data region goes down, right? AZ in AWS terms means availability zone, right? If your availability zone or your data region goes down, you can automatically fail over to, let's say, data region 2. Or in example of AWS, you can fail over to US East 2 or US West 1, right? These data regions help with replication of data and to actually make sure that just the process of your business or your cybersecurity processes do not be interrupted, right? So, um, very handy. A lot of companies are on the cloud or are using these, right? Um, you know, Back in the day, which is what, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? We're looking at, hey, before we had this mass cloud migration, we're looking at, hey, let's make sure we have a duplicate data center, right? Let's make sure we have a cold site or a hot site or a warm site, etc. Right? So, very, very, very convenient when it comes to having a fault tolerant system. All right, so we talked about the SIM last time, right? The SIM collects and analyzes security data from across an organization, right? So from a SIM, you may be getting logs from your threat detection appliances, excuse me. You may be getting logs from, Windows reports or error messages, etc., right? Your SIM is going to be an amalgamation of pretty much security alerts, uh, logs, incidents, etc., right? And most commonly, you have your SOC analysts on the SIM looking at what could be going wrong or looking at any indication of uh, a breach. But the reason why it's so important is because this actually helps people when it comes to securing their security environment. All right. So real quickly, we'll watch a video about Target. And Target got breached in 2013. Uh, they had a meltdown when it came to credit card and payment details. Okay, so millions of customers lost their credit card details to a hacker group. Um, and the thing about it was Target didn't get breached directly. They got breached from an HVAC company that does work on their buildings. So the problem was that the alerts came on the SIM or whatever software that they were using. And they said, hey, you know what? This probably is a false positive. Whatever. They had at least more than 10 alerts and they chose to ignore it. And when they ignored it, they got packed up. So I'm letting y'all know now, SIMs are very important, right? So let's watch a video about how Target got packed up. And when I say packed up, they just, all their systems were breached.
The most affordable 12
all the customer data was taken.
12-month GLP-1 program with the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy for one payment upfront and across the country.
I'm gonna open this up for y'all. Give me 1 second.
The most affordable 12-month GLP-1 program with the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy for one.
You are watching.
All right, here we go. Anybody remember about the Target breach? Oh yeah, so I mean, the customers, yeah, I mean, if your credit card numbers are gone, then pretty much you could use them, right? Or sometimes they don't even do anything with them, you know. So I mean, millions of people credit card. It's like you probably only need like 10 of them, you know. But kind of sometimes it could be an act of posturing, like, yeah, we can do this. And so since we can do this, uh, just understand that we can come back again. So, it could have been an inside job, it could have been just posturing, it could have been, hey, we'll take some money from a few customers and go from there. But these breaches happen all the time, right? So we're gonna watch that as we look at this video. All right.
7 Action News, always taking action for you.
We start tonight with a jolting consumer alert as we head into the final holiday shopping weekend of the year.
Target hit with a huge security breach. Millions of its customers may have had their credit card numbers stolen over the past few weeks.
Now, this all began on Black Friday, bright and early, as customers were trying to get their hands on all those bargains.
7 Action News reporter Julie Bonovich is live tonight in Dearborn Heights for us. Julie, this is a pretty high-tech scheme, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And if you're saying, well, I didn't go out on Black Friday, it doesn't matter. This has been happening all the way up until about December 15th. It's probably the last thing that was on your mind when you were shopping on Black Friday.
It's what you look for all year. It's what you do for your Christmas shopping.
But if you shopped at Target, you might be the victim of identity theft. The Secret Service confirms they are investigating a credit and debit card theft at Target stores across the nation.
All you hope is for consumer security. When you go shopping in a store, they can't provide that. It's like petrifying.
Investigators believe hackers stole your card numbers after you swiped the magnetic strip on your credit and debit cards through the store's red card readers when you paid.
Definitely am concerned about the security of my bank account, and will be second guessing, whether I continue to shop there or change my loyalties elsewhere.
We found out from the Federal Trade Commission how to tell if someone stole your credit or debit card number. Check your billing statement or log into your account online and check for any charges you didn't make. Request a copy of your credit report. And pay close attention to your mail. A sign of identity theft is if you receive offers or bills from credit cards you didn't apply for. If you discover you are a victim, we found out that you need to immediately place an initial fraud alert on your cards, order your credit reports, and create an identity theft report. And we did call Target headquarters for comment. They did not return our phone calls tonight. Also, we have put more tips from the Federal Trade Commission on our website. Just look for the story on our homepage at WXYZ.com. Live from Dearborn Heights, Julie Bonovich, 7 Action News.
All right, Julie, good information. I'm sure a lot of people will be checking if they shop at Target.
This is what Ivy League universities you can get.
I love how she was she was funny at the end. But she was so sarcastic. But yeah, like this stuff happens, man. Like Carlos said something important, right? Hey, sometimes your PII, right? Your personally identifiable information, your first name, last name, where you're born at, your birth date, etc., your social security numbers, they can be sold across the dark web. Okay. So they can be sold, they can be used to open accounts, whatever, credit card fraud, right? It's important that number one, I use my Apple Wallet, right? Or if you have your Google Wallet, right? The reason why that is secure, that is a very secure method, is because anytime you make a transaction, right, there's a random transaction number that is initiated every time you purchase something, right? So what that means is that even if someone tried to intercept your purchase, right, and that has to be within a split second, right? There's a random number that is generated, right? So your card details are never stored on your phone physically, right? And it's never stored, right? It's just we use a random number for the transaction and we're good to go, right? Emery, you say you keep your credit card frozen, yeah, and set up alerts, yeah, that is good, and it really depends on your lifestyle. Like someone like me, I'm always on the go. Um, I stopped freezing my credit cards when I, you know, was very stationary, but I'm always on the go. But I put everything on my wallet, right? But if you are someone that, you have a predictable schedule, you know what you're going to be spending money on, right? You can freeze your credit cards and have those alerts.
I mean, freeze your credit, your social.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Got you, got you,
I
got you.
had very bad identity fraud. That's a whole separate story for another.
Okay, no problem. Got you, got you, got you. Yeah, and that too, freeze your credit as well. Um, but yeah, these are the things you can do to actually help you minimize that attack surface, minimize you um, you know, being hacked, and sometimes you can't help it, right? Those people who went and on Black Friday to Target, they didn't know that they were going to be hacked at all, right? And Target use third-party vendors to process payments, and a third-party vendor, they got hacked through a third-party vendor. It just happens that way, right? So yeah, yeah, oh yeah, 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 skimmers at the gas station. So who's familiar with skimmers at the gas station? Yeah, okay,
Just
yeah,
skim.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, only reason why I brought that up, Deontay, my ISO work at Secret Service, they had this crazy display where they actually brought in like an ATM. I think it wasn't an actual gas pump, but just an ATM is another example. And they opened it up and they showed like where the people had put the skimmer in
mm-hmm,
and were snatching numbers. So I really stopped using my debit card at the gas station. Every now and then, if I'm just not thinking, but I try not to do it, I'll use either my credit card or just go take the walk and pay inside. I know it's a slight inconvenience, but
mm-hmm,
like the gentleman was just saying, I think Emery saying, the identity theft is big. I've been a victim of it. I was part of the group a few years back with the OPM breach, and
mm-hmm.
I get inundated with phone calls all day to both of my numbers. I have no idea who these people are. They text me, "Hey, I'm so and so, this whatever." So just have to be mindful of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, even in the stores. So if you go to CVS or maybe Target, look at the cards, look at the back of the cards because they may look like they've been open and resealed. But yeah, yeah, I see your face, Jessica. Yeah, you have to watch those cards, right? They'll take a bunch of them from the store. They'll steal them. They may be from another store, but what they'll do, they'll kind of like activate them in a sense of a word, and they'll try to like discreetly put them back together so it looks like they're normal, and then you take them to the cash registry, you sign out, right? But companies have systems now where they scan it and they make sure that it hasn't been already activated, right? But those are actually, you know, people do it in a racket, right? A racket where it could be done all over. The last one was in Houston. If you bought a gift card from Target or whatever, they're driving around, and really messing those gift cards up, right? So anything you do, whether it is gas station, whether it is you went to Target, Walmart, um, corner store, right? Use your credit card or use tap to pay, right? Because number one, you can say, hey, I didn't do this, right? And you can get that charge back. Or number two, when you're making a purchase with your iPhone or your Google Pay, right? It's not giving your credit card numbers, but it's giving a random token during the transaction. All right. So that's what we have to understand. All right. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? Alana, you said, yes, I used to swipe my card at the gas pump, but once I found out about the scammers, I pay for gas inside. Yeah. And even inside, sometimes you gotta wiggle that little uh POS machine, but there's jobs where you can go around and you can work for cybersecurity or IT companies and fix people's skimmers. You can take the skimmers out of the point of sale machine, etc. So yeah, very, very, very important. That's a very important thing to understand. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. It
Okay.
was based on what you were saying. You had said something about what is a hot site? What is a wet site?
Hot site, cold site, and warm site. Okay. This is something that you'll learn within the chapters. But let's start with a cold site, right? So a cold site is basically it could be a replacement data center that doesn't have any any computers, any server racks, etc., right? It is just a backup location just in case things go wrong, right? Less common today because we have cloud infrastructure, right? So we can spin up our infrastructure on the internet, right? But maybe 20 years ago, say your data center got hit with a fire or flooding, right? You have your cold site, right? Nothing set up yet. A warm site, right? Well, let me start with a hot site. A hot site is going to be, hey, we walked into this building that we bought and we're good to go, right? It's just a backup, right? So it's hot because everything is there, right? The servers are there, the computers are there, the desktops are there, right? We're ready to go, okay? And then a warm site is the intermediate between both of those. That is going to be like, hey, we have the computers, we just don't have the generators, right? We don't have internet connected yet, but we can do that, right? I don't know if you know, I feel like we've probably all seen movies where they're like usually action movies or spy movies where they have to like burn the lab down or something. They've been compromised, so they have to take all the papers and throw them in the trash and light it on fire, and then they start afresh somewhere else. That's basically the concept of a cold site, warm site, and hot site. All right, cool,
Thank you.
no problem. All right, let's take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break. I'm gonna go and get some water. But let's come back at 8:41. Should be 7:41 Central Time. All right, go walk your dog. Go get some water, get a granola bar or something, and I'll see you soon. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you're back. Give me a good thumbs up if you're back. Say, all right. Getting some thumbs up there. Okay. All right, we're waiting for a few people to get back. We should be good. Okay. Let me go back. Come on. Come on. Okay. So this next section, we're going to talk about the AAA in technology, right? And then we're going to talk about different types of multi-factor authentication, 2FA, SSO, LDAP, and SAML. All right. So these are some things that are very crucial for cybersecurity, for tech, right? And knowing these things will give you an understanding of how do we access systems. All right. Very important that you know these techniques and these terminologies. Okay. So as we go through, I will be answering any questions that you have. Within our next slides for the rest of the week, we'll start to do like very short quizzes just to make sure that you are getting what I'm telling you. And then there we should be good to go. All right. So we are going to talk about AAA. And I'm not talking about AAA, the car service, right? We're talking about technology. All right. Oh yeah, and going back to hot, cold, and warm sites, right? Uh Carlos said they can be mobile. Yeah, that is true. They can be very mobile as well. All right, so introduction to AAA in technology, right? So this stands for authentication, authorization, and accounting. All right, so this framework, just understand that we're managing user access and resources in a very sophisticated and secure manner. All right. So understanding it is crucial, right? We want to say, hey, who is able to authenticate in our system? Who's authorized, right, to use those resources, right? And do we have some accounting, right? So are we looking at the logs, managing the logs? Are we making sure that we do our audits in a reasonable amount of time, right? And this doesn't just go with just IT and cybersecurity. It can, you know, it can be in your household, right? So, Netflix, right? We have the kid accounts, or we have the teenager accounts, right? Who is all, able to authenticate to Netflix on their device or tablet, who's authorized to watch R-rated movies or PG-13 rated movies, and can we see who logged in at what time, right? I'm sure Netflix has something. I don't have kids yet, and I would want to see, hey, how are my kids accessing certain titles on Netflix, or who is doing it, right? Who's authorized to do it, right? Is it my 13-year-old or is it my 2-year-old, right? It's just an example, all right? So that is AAA in technology. All right, so what is the importance of authentication? All right, I'm gonna make it a little bit more interactive, right? We see the slide, right? It says it verifies the identity of users before granted access in the system, right? But someone tell me in their own words an example of authentication in their daily lives or their personal lives, right? Why is it important? Why do you think it's important, right? Forget what the slide says, right? Why do you think authentication is important for accessing any systems, whether it is a military grade system or or if it's a Netflix account? Um, I'll go on whoever raises their hand first. I'll try to.
Well, it's
Oh,
because authentication ensures that the right person is accessing the right material.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Brittany, I'm sorry. I saw you waving your hand a little late. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, just like with a credit card or a debit card, you have that PIN number. So even if somebody has that information or has access to it, there's like just an added layer of protection there by having your PIN number.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Baron.
Yeah, just so you can control who has access to that specific account or information.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Some of you may have joint accounts with your children or maybe your spouse or family member, right? And we have to see, hey, who accessed what? Who took $250 out the account yesterday to go buy hookah? All right. This is an example, right? That's a joke. I am the biggest jokester. I just want to make sure y'all good, okay? But who took $250 out the account? Well, we have a log that shows us who took the money out the account at what time, right? That is if you set it up that way. Okay. So that is authentication, right? We need to make sure that we verify whoever's getting into the system or the account, right? And then we have to, uh, make sure we log this, right? We have to make sure that we have some type of uh, evidence that shows us that, hey, Jeffrey was able to get into the account at 3:45 p.m. To look at financial statements, and we have that on wax, right? So that is what we have to understand. Okay. Authorization, right? So authorization determines what resources a user can access after authentication, right? So it ensures users have only the permissions necessary for their roles, right? So in tech and cybersecurity, we call that least privilege. All right. You can only have access to the tools and the resources you need just to do your job and your job only. Okay. If you are a junior software developer, or software engineer, okay, you may have access to some of our GitHub repositories, right? But you do not have access to the database at all, right? The only person that has access to the database is let's say the senior RVP or the senior vice president of the company in emergency situations, because usually, developers don't have direct access to a database at all, right? But what I'm saying is that after we are authenticated, right, we can't just give everyone permissions all willy-nilly, right? There has to be some sort of checks and balances to make sure that everyone does not have their hands on all pieces of information, right? Because, this is going to be interactive, but answer my question. What happens if everyone has their hands on all the data, right? Just yell it out. What happens?
Breaches all over the place. Everybody's tapping in and giving the wrong information or touching something not that I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Breaches galore. What else?
So look, I worked at in the oil and gas industry, y'all, and I was a inventory analyst. So my job, like I had to like find different issues and things like that and try and reconcile stuff. And so there was a button that allowed me to purge the system, and I was trying to find information, so I hit it, and then it got rid of all of the information, like every transaction that they had up until like 2000, like it got rid of everything. And I was like, and then the IT man, but I told him what I did, and I was a good inventory analyst, and he was like, I know what you're doing, Jackson. He was like, I don't even know why they gave you access to this, because man, you shouldn't even have his permission up on here. You got rid of everything in the system. So yeah, and then it took him maybe like a week to get all the transactions back.
Dang, man. But yes, that's why making sure that authorization or principal of least privilege is very important. That was a spectacular example. But yeah, she had the doomsday button, that's what we would say, right? Boom, that's it, right? Losing all the transactions, right? But luckily, I'm guessing y'all had a backup.
No, they didn't have, we had to go off of only what the transactions that we wrote down, like the different logs that we had. But outside of that, we were kind of stuck for that week up until they fixed it.
Absolutely. So that is a very, very great example, right? Having too much access to something, it loses the quality, it loses the value, and then you can mistakenly delete all the files. So that is important. Okay. Anybody has any questions on this? Shar gave a really, really great example. And there's something else in cybersecurity, right? It's called credential creep. So with credential creep, sometimes people get passwords, logins, right? Access here and there, right? And imagine someone who's been at the company for like 20 years, they have access to things that, software they don't even use anymore. Okay, but the software may have something that may be important, right? It could have, routing numbers, bank account numbers, etc., for accounts that may not, necessarily could be used, or accounts that may not need to be available to, engineers, etc. Um, yeah, like you have these things where, it's just way too many access to way too many people, right? And so our goal is to reduce this in our organizations, right? But that comes with clean authorization and access control policies and practices. All right, so what's the role of accounting, right? So accounting tracks users' activities and resource usage in the system, right? So it provides essential logs and auditing for compliance purposes, right? So again, proper accounting helps organizations identify security incidents and unauthorized access, right? So if Joey is in, let's say he went to uh Ghana, right, for vacation, right? And he accessed our system, and it looks like it's a very untraditional hour that he's accessing our system. Well, we can go in and look and say, hey man, he logged into the database at 3 a.m. at nighttime, on the East Coast. Well, that may be, 7 o'clock in Ghana, right? 8 o'clock in Ghana. But with proper accounting, we can go and ask his manager, hey, you know, um, I forget what name I said, but let's say the name was Joey, right? Let's say we go to Joey's manager and we find out that Joey is on vacation, right? But Joey likes to work a lot because he's a workaholic. So he accesses the, the database or the resources, and we can confirm with his manager that, hey, he's in Ghana, but, he's supposed to be not working, but we found out that he accessed the database. So it is not a security breach. It is not someone trying to hack into our system at 3 o'clock in the morning. It is just Joey in Ghana doing extra work for no reason. I'll talk to him and tell him that he actually needs to take a vacation, a mandated vacation, right? And this is another concept in cybersecurity, right? Having mandatory vacations, right? This decreases the attack surface, right? Because you are not there, you are not liable to mess anything up, right? And we can actually just have you, just take a break so you're not burnt out or anything like that, right? Being burnt out on the job is also another thing that increases this attack surface, right? So if you're like me, I'm a workaholic, right? I like to work. I don't know if this is a Caribbean in me. Um, you know, I don't know what it is. I keep a lot of jobs, and um, working can burn you out. But in cybersecurity, it can cause breaches because you may stop following protocols. Okay, you may stop logging out your system, or you may just you get tired and you just leave your laptop there and you say, look, I'm gonna take a little nap right here. And someone could come and just take your laptop or they can look at your details, right? Maybe you're too tired to take the cybersecurity training and you're clicking, oh, let me just click answer A for all of these because I'm tired and I don't want to do this right now, right? And you fail the test and you're not just doing the proper practices to maintain proper cybersecurity hygiene, right? So this is something that is very, very important, right? Accounting, making sure that people are doing what they need to do, making sure that we understand who's accessing our system here and there, and also monitoring them, right? Making sure they are doing the proper precautions and getting the proper time off to minimize mistakes. All right, so that is accounting. I don't want to belabor this, but make sure that you are able to understand this concept as we move forward. Overview of multi-factor authentication. All right. So I think we talked about it last week, right? Who uses multi-factor authentication at their job? Okay, mostly everybody. Has anybody been hacked with multi-factor authentication? No? Do you think it is possible to get hacked with multi-factor authentication? Who says yes and who says no?
I say yes.
You say yes. Okay, we got one yes, couple yeses.
I say yes too.
Okay.
I think you gotta try really
Yes.
hard. You can.
Say it one more time.
I think you have to try really hard, but it can be done.
It can be done. Yeah. 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 What are some ways of multi-factor authentication? Y'all can just yell it out.
The text, you get a 6-digit or 4-digit code to enter
Okay.
through SMS.
Yep. OTPs. It could be one-time passcodes. What else?
If they ask you to sign into another email, maybe, is that a way?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I haven't seen that. I mean, excuse me, a backup email. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I rarely use it because I have my passwords saved automatically, but yeah, backup email. What else we have? We have recovery keys.
Google Authenticator.
Excuse me, one more time.
Google Authenticator.
Yes, sir. Yes. Uh-huh.
I
Right,
would
and
say
authentic.
Microsoft Authenticator Duo, where you get
Mm-hmm.
those push notifications.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Okay. What are some physical multi-factor authentication uh devices? So when I say physical, right?
Like,
It oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Shar.
Mhm.
oh, I was gonna say like fingerprinting.
Yep. Fingerprints, right?
We used to have something called a haha card. It was like a little instead of the digital one, it would be like literally like this little device, this little small like pill like device, have like digits display, and that would change every
Mm-hmm.
like 6 seconds, and you had to type it in on your computer as like the
Okay.
multi-authenticator.
Yeah. Yeah, those RSA keys.
They
Yeah.
call yeah.
I can actually find that too. Them old school, but yeah, I used to have that for my bank account in Bermuda. Them RSA keys. Let me see. Let's see. Maybe something like this, right? Right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would call them haha cards.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hardware tokens, right? Still in stock. 62.99. Okay. All right. I mean, we have what Google Authenticated for free, so I don't know who's selling this, bro. I don't know who's selling this. Okay. Key fobs, right? Key fobs can be a form, right? There's many things that you could use for two-factor authentication, right? Yeah, that Carlos, that is old school, man. That man, I'm telling you, boy, that is out the way. But they were cool. They were cool, man. Let me get back to the slideshow. Um, right. And even sometimes if you want to get really, really top secret with it, you have retinal scans, right? Um, you know, put your fingerprint there, let it scan your iris. It looks like it hurts, but I don't know.
Is
Um,
biometrics is legitimate.
he said what?
Biometrics are considered legitimate sources.
I'm sorry, one more time. I'm sorry.
Authentication,
Oh
biometric
yeah.
is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're asking, are they considered like,
Yeah, it's like that's I didn't realize that was actually considered like an enterprise level uh form of authentication.
yeah. I mean, it really depends on the organization, I feel like, you know. Um, all right. So we have our two-factor authentication. We just went over it, so we don't really need to um talk about this slide, right? But everyone has a great idea of what two-factor authentication is, right? So the the advantages, right? So even if someone knew my password, right? My password could be pizza slice 123. They have to get through the one-time passcode, or they have to get through the thumbprint or the retinal scan, right? So those are the things you have to understand. Very big topic on the exam, right? But you want to just make sure that you know all the different ways, right? I think there's Carlos, if I'm right, right, you have the gate, I think it's gout or gait analysis where it's taking a recording of the way you walk, right? I believe that's what it is. I have to,
Gate as in GAIT.
yeah, GAIT. Yeah. Um, yeah. So the way you walk, right? Sometimes that is something that is measured and you're confirmed with your identity, right? The way you walk, or even if you're in a certain geography, right? If you're, located on the West Coast, you may be able to pass into the system, or if you're located on the East Coast, etc., right? So, yeah, yeah, no, yeah, that's correct. Banks use recording of your voice for authentication. It's real freaky, guys. And that's what it is, right? They understand how you talk. They may see your signature, right? These things are like legit, right? There's CCTV for a reason, right? I think what they're saying in China, they are recording everyone and their, intricate personalities, what their face looks like, and putting that into a system, right? So these are the things to really it sounds far-fetched, but these are the things that are used to identify a person or offer them access to any system, etc. SSO, right? So we call this single sign-on, right? So single sign-on allows users to log in once and access multiple applications without re-authenticating, right? So this improves user experience by reducing the number of passwords to remember. And SSO can enhance security by centralizing authentication management. Okay. Anybody uses SSO at the job or anything like that? Okay. How do y'all like it? Do y'all like SSO?
Yeah.
He said,
For
"Yep."
teachers, it's very convenient. All the different applications that we use for
Mm,
grades or
yeah.
attendance, or even the kids accessing, the apps that they use
Yeah.
throughout the day. We use
Yeah.
Clever, single sign on. Once they sign
Yeah.
on, they're logged into everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. In a way, Okta can be used like that. You have all them apps um, that is provided for your organization, which is pretty cool. I like that. I think that was like a really good idea. Anybody else uses single sign-on SSO? Okay, go ahead, Emery.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do. I mean, I think it's just convenient because, like, for example, if I change my password to log into my like work PC. I don't feel like having to go downstream to every associated app and having to do it as well, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Baron says we were using Okta and switched to My Apps by Microsoft at his job. Okay, good. Good, good, good. That is good. So that's going to be single sign-on. Very easy, right? You don't have to know the intricacies behind it, how it's made. That would be crazy. All right. So again, the SSO it simplifies the login process, right? And it leads to increased productivity. Someone said, "Hey, you know what? Let me sell you this SSO or software to increase the productivity of your employees," right? So they do those metrics. I think the metrics is really based on how quick users use the applications or they log in and they click an application, how quick they switch between different applications, etc. So, pretty cool feature, right? And then one thing that is really good is password fatigue, right? I think we all have gotten password fatigue. Like, dang, like, what's my password? He's just sitting there like, ah. So for me, it's easier for me to have those password managers. So when I make a new password, it gets stored into the system. But yeah, password fatigue, like, um, that can be a lot. Back in the day, we used to write them down, or if you have, you know, your parents, your grandparents, and they're like, "Oh man, I don't know my password or anything." You tell them, "Hey, get you a password manager, because I'm tired of writing down your passwords or putting things in for you." So that is a benefit. George's, go ahead.
I had about a month ago, I had the worst password fatigue. So my phone, I set it up for every 72 hours for me to actually put my password in.
Hmm.
And for some reason, I had gotten so used to putting my password through feel, I
Hmm.
forgot what the password was. And I spent a whole day trying to figure it out.
Hmm.
And randomly, I put in my password and I was like, oh, wow, I'm in. But I couldn't
Hmm.
remember. So I closed my phone by accident again and I was locked out. And it
Yeah.
was the worst day of my life because I had to set it up. If I entered a certain amount of time, it would delete everything on my phone. And I had not backed up my phone for about 2 weeks.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was a nightmare. I finally
Yeah.
figured it out, but I had to go through Excel and type all the different combinations.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Got you. Now you have a password manager?
No, that's for my phone specifically, so I can't access anything unless I go through my phone.
Oh, got you, got you. Okay,
Yeah, I
got you.
do have password manager, yes.
Okay, okay, got you, got you, got you. Got you. Yeah, man. It could be tough. Those password fatigue, and I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Anybody else got password fatigue before? And they're like, man, I'm tired of putting in this password. Okay, cool. All right, so the next thing is LDAP, right? And we call this Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. Okay, so LDAP is a protocol used to access and manage directory information services, right? So it's commonly used for authentication, authorization, and enterprise environments. Okay, so LDAP, if there's a hierarchical structure for that, right? So we're organizing users within organizations, organizational unit, and then person, right? So the organization could be Global Corp, right? And then the organizational unit could be HR, and then the person could be Josh Smith, right? But this is basically for enterprise, as an enterprise protocol, um, commonly used with Microsoft systems as well. So the good thing about this is that um, it has really good advantages, right? So what we're looking at is centralizing management of users, right? Also identity and access rights, right? So the common thing that you'll hear about authorization is managing of users' identities and their access, right? Can John Smith access these files, right? How do we locate John Smith in, our LDAP or in our system, etc., right? So it does provide a scalable solutions for organizations, right? You can see it mostly at universities, jobs, etc., right? And then also you can apply a lot of different rule sets to your LDAP, etc., right? So basically, um, you just want to say that, hey, this is to manage users in an enterprise setting, right? This is a protocol, okay? And that is it, okay? So that's what you want to know about LDAP. SAML, all right? So security assertion markup language. Okay, so SAML is a XML-based framework, right, for exchanging authentication and authorization, right? So this SAML is what is powering that SSO, right? Um, so it enables sign-on across different domains and services, etc. Right? That's just basically the technology that's powering us being able to access different software, etc. Right? You'll see it on the exam here and there, right? But basically, with SAML, you don't have to really go too deep into the definition, right? But understand, you see on the right, the goal is to have a pleasant user experience with quick and easy access to resources, right? So just know that it's called Security Assertion Markup Language, right? And if you want to do some more deep diving, you can, right? But the goal is to understand this, understand the use of it, and understand the benefits of it, okay? So it has added security, it's very streamlined, and it reduces it reduces technical implementation. All right. Here it says it reduces help desk calls because help desks just they have to manage everything that goes wrong with the user, right? But the goal is to get people between apps very quickly to lead to increased productivity, which is increased production, which is more money for the company, right? So as we go, a lot of these concepts you hear, you'll always most certainly understand that everything that has been implemented keeps the mission of the business going, right? That's what we do in all of our roles, right? How do we make the company move faster? How do we make it more productive? What are these protocols here for? What is their reasoning? And that's how it goes in security. All right. So you'll start to notice that as we go forward. All right. So that is SAML. All right. So we don't have to see the benefits. All right. So let's compare MFA, 2FA, SSO, LDAP, and SAML, right? So MFA and 2FA focus on enhancing security through additional verification steps. SSO streamlines users' access across multiple applications with a single credential. And then LDAP and SAML provide frameworks for managing user identity and access, right? This slide, if you don't remember anything, just remember this slide. This is a very good slide. And that sums up everything we need to know. All right. And then the best practices for that AAA concept, right, is organizations should make sure that they protect sensitive data, whether that's through policies, whether that's through audits, whether that is looking at monitoring logs, right? So making sure that people are doing what they need to, they are getting the resources that they're allowed to, and they're accountable for them, right? So this is what we are learning in cybersecurity, right? But then there's also some challenges, right? So, it could be balancing user convenience or security could be a significant challenge, right? For a smaller company, we may not need a lot of different policies, but as we grow, we start to add on those policies, right? For an organization for 4 or 5 people, do we need LDAP, right? Maybe not. Okay, so it really depends on where your company is at, right? But the bigger the company is, the more sophisticated the system will be, right? The more departments we'll have. Okay. But at the end of the day, we have those risk management frameworks we can abide by to protect our systems, etc. Right. And then you'll hear this in almost every slide, but user education has the biggest return of investment in cybersecurity, right? 80% of the job is people. Getting people to do what they need, getting people to pass the trainings, getting people to understand what their role is when handling data, getting people to communicate effectively. Man, like you can do the job, you can automate everything. But if people aren't behind the goal or the mission to protect data, then your data or your company is going down. It's over, right? So very important to do user training and education and awareness. All right. So future trends, everything's AI or machine learning, right? We may have more biometric authentication, right? Handprints or retinals, etc., right? But your job is to understand, hey, what is the newest trend, right? If you want to get a new job in cybersecurity once this cohort is over, you look at the newest job that is out, right? We teach you to look at new jobs, not the jobs that everyone keeps going into, right? You don't want to work an uphill battle. You want to get a job in something that is new and that is in demand, right? So that's what we do when it comes to understanding future trends, all right? So that should be it. We're not going to go to case studies or anything like that. I will show you a video and then we should be out of here. Let me know if you can hear this.
Computers much. Do you know that you're not ever supposed to plug in a USB drive that you've... As a person that doesn't use computers much, do you know that you're not ever supposed to plug in a USB drive that you find on the ground or that someone sends you in the mail, that if when you plug that into your computer, it could install malicious software? Did you know this?
Of course.
Okay, great. Well,
no, I didn't know that, but I've never done that. I would never pick something up and plug it in because a
lot of people do.
I would never want to put something in I didn't know what was on the stick.
Yeah, but people go to conferences and there's jars of USB drives and people just usually plug it in and don't think the better. But people have known for years you never do this.
Yeah.
But you have to think about how have hackers evolved in their tradecraft to even do this with something that's so simple that anybody would fall for it. So think about, do you have an iPhone or an Android?
I do.
You do. So you charge it with the cable.
You which.
So you charge the phone, right, with the cable?
Yes, right.
What if I could tell you we could modify that cable so when it's plugged into your computer that we could remotely command the cable to install malware on your computer?
The cable?
The cable itself, and I'm going to show you in a second.
You're talking about a little white?
Yeah, right here. Doesn't that look like an ordinary charging cable to you?
Yeah.
How do you get the cable to the victim? Well, if you have on-site access, you're in a company and you could swap it out. Or we could do what we call a social engineering attack and send a device with a cable, like a new iPhone or a new Pixel 4, and it comes pre-packaged in the box, and when you open the box and you take the shrink wrapping off, it looks exactly like it came from factory, but what the target doesn't know is that the cable has been modified. So let me show you actually how it works.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions first?
Yeah, I want to know how this works.
Okay, all right. So we're going to plug this in. What we have here on this white screen, this is the hacker, and this computer is sitting in Virginia. It's not even in this room. So this is the hacker. This here is the victim. This is us. We've plugged in the cable. And now what the attacker is going to do is command the cable to install malware, malicious software on the computer, so the hacker has complete control. So this device is a Bluetooth transmitter. I could be, within about 300 feet of the computer. I could push a button on here, and then what's going to happen, if you look at the lower left-hand corner of the Windows computer where it says types here to search, in about 5 seconds, you're going to see it like magically type. It's going to be a split second, and then what's going to happen over here, we're going to gain control of the computer. So what I want you to do, Phil, is see that A button? You can walk over there back to your chair. See the A?
Sort of.
Yeah, just...
yeah, it's the bottom one.
Yeah, press the A button. Stop. Okay, and then we should look at the lower left-hand part of the screen. There it goes. That's the malware being injected. And that's it. That's all the victim sees. And I don't see it up
that
on screen.
fast?
That fast.
So right now, you're controlling this computer from
Virginia.
Here.
Yeah, I'm connected to a computer in Virginia. This has malware installed now because of the cable, and now I'm able to take full control of this computer as the hacker. So I could go through all the files on the computer. I can turn on the microphone and listen to the conversations in the room. Or what is really scary is I could turn on the victim's webcam and now I could spy on you.
Freaky. Anybody have any comments on that? Did you know? Did you know that you could be hacked like that? What's up?
You can launch targeted TV
Sorry, let me
campaigns using our powerful platform that
where's this coming from?
simplicity with
You
deep
know,
markets.
I knew about the USB, but I definitely didn't know about the
You can
cable.
also tailor your
Yeah.
reach from nationwide
Yeah, honestly.
audiences,
Hold on, give me
local
1 second. I
users,
need to
precision. Getting started with Vibe.
oh,
Pretty
there we
fast.
go. Yeah. So you didn't know about the cable, right? Yeah, it's real. That is a real thing.
People spend
Yeah.
so much time being criminals, man. They only apply that for like, good purposes. They probably could make more money.
Mhm. Yeah.
More money.
Yeah, man. These things happen. But yeah,
Just
never plug in a USB stick or anything, um, in your computer that you don't know where it came from. So that is one thing you don't do. But these are different methods and techniques, right? You want to make sure that you have, when you're not using your Bluetooth or anything or your Wi-Fi, turn it off. Also have one of these things on your laptop, right? These things, right, to close your what is it called? Cam, your webcam, right? So very important. You can go back and look at the video. Lauren, you have a question?
Yeah, because I'm infamous for plugging my cord into my computer.
Mhm.
But they have the thing where it's like trust or don't trust. Is there a difference or no?
Um, I've never personally gotten hacked from that type of vector before. But the trust says that, hey, do you trust this computer? Yes or no? And that usually is good to go. Now, if it's been modified, they can still program it where it says trust, right? But more often than not, you know what your charger is. It's a good practice. Maybe put some specific tape around your charger, in a certain area. But you most people won't try to hack your computer through a charger. But I wouldn't go to like maybe like Starbucks and try to use a random charger, right? Because that could, you know, hack you right then and there or any random charger anywhere. But yeah. George's.
Or the chargers at the airport. I used to do that
Oh
until
yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, those public chargers too. Yeah. Those are they're there, but I mean the chances of it is slim, but you just never know. Yeah. Public chargers are no. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I used a public charger before because my phone was dying and I had to get somewhere. And I didn't have any of my credit cards or anything like that, and I had to charge my phone and I did not have my charger. But when I go out to places, I'll always bring my charger. I don't care if I go to the club, I don't care if I go to a restaurant, I just bring my charger because you just never know, right? It's a computer in your hand, you need to charge, right? Or you can buy those charging packs that you can put behind your phone, like a charging case, which is pretty neat. So yeah, those are good. Anybody else have questions? Portable chargers, yeah. Yeah. All right. So go ahead, France.
Hi, Deontay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, so today I noticed we covered two chapters, chapter one and chapter two. Is this the norm, no, the regular norm where we'll cover two chapters every day?
No, so those are just presentations. Well, that's still part of chapter one, right? So we probably have like five PowerPoints. Depending on it's usually between five and seven, right? Seven if we do two chapters in 1 week, right? Some of the chapters we have to do two chapters in 1 week to keep up with the schedule, but that is everything that you learned, most of the stuff you learned in chapter one. So what I was gonna say is after class, I will start to put people into the new server, and then also we'll start give everyone access to the book and all the resources, right? So between tonight and tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning, you can start reading the book, right? Reading chapter 1. But yeah, those aren't chapters, right? I wish they were.
Okay.
They'll be quick, right? But those are all a part of one chapter. All right.
Okay. Because some of the information that you mentioned are in chapter 2 in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
No problem. No problem. All right. Any other questions? I'm going to let y'all go. I'll stay on for a few minutes, okay? But otherwise than that, really great class today. Everyone will receive updated information. I'm going to just send out an email and a message in the Discord about the new Discord and all the resources, so we all have like one centralized spot for everything, So I'll see y'all tomorrow in the new server. Also, there will be a new Zoom link, okay? So you'll get the new invite. All right. The reason why we do this is because anyone who's not supposed to be in the class won't have the new Zoom link, right? So um, I may have to figure out a way if I can change the passcode. That could work too. But either way, everyone will be updated by the morning time. So, all right. If anybody doesn't have any questions, I will still stay here, but I will see everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Good evening.
Good night.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Trying to leave. I hung up. Sorry about that. I'm trying to hang up.
There's
All right.
a
Good night.
good night. There's a shortcut too. Command W if you want to leave quick. Yeah. But yeah, I'm here to answer any questions. If anybody has any questions, you can just unmute yourself and go ahead.
There was a slide that you said was really, really important that you just kind of flashed by while I was trying to write.
Oh, my bad.
It had the comparison of like MFA, 2FA, SSO.
Okay. Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind putting that back up, I know it'll be in there later, but my notes
Yeah, no
feel
problem.
incomplete.
Absolutely. I got you. Let's see. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Anybody else? Alana?
Yeah, so I have a question. My question is about when is the next time you're doing this class? I've been telling like a few people in my network that I'm doing this class, and some of them are like interested to know like when they can do the class and the cost and things like that. So I'm just curious to know when the next one will be.
The next cohort is going to be in April, like April 28th, I believe.
Okay.
So, no, that's your end of that's the end of the 20th, yeah. Because y'all graduate on the 18th. So
Okay. And it goes through when does it end? Do you know yet?
I haven't gotten that far.
Right.
I think sometime in if I'm not mistaken, June, July. Oh yeah. So May, June, July. Yeah, July.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the price and stuff is still the same, or
Price increases during the summer. So um if someone wanted to take the cohort, so for example, they know you,
Mhm.
right? We'll implement some type of discount, or whether it's 500 or more off, right? But usually within the summer and the fall cohorts are going to be a little bit more on the pricier side. That original price of that 5,500, but after any holidays, etc., where people are doing a lot of traveling, a lot of gift giving, then we reduce that price. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm done with the slide.
Okay, no problem. You'll get that copy too. So I'll make sure you're all good.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good night.
All right. All right.
Okay. Would you be doing scholarship programs for that? For those
Yeah,
programs too? Okay.
at some point, but we only do
Okay.
one scholarship
Mhm.
um per cohort. Yeah, for the
Okay.
people who and you approached me a while ago. So
Mhm.
in the summer of last year. So
Okay.
yeah. That was it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I just want to make sure I relay all this information to them, and then if they have questions, they could just ask you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good night. All right. Anything else? Shar, how can I help? Okay, Shar was there. All right. George's you have any other questions for us?
No, I'm here just in case somebody asks a question. I might not be aware of the answer.
Yeah,
I'm here for just extra information. That's it.
no problem. Um, Lauren and I are about to jump into a room, so if you're still on when I get back, then I can answer any questions. But we'll be right back, all right?
Oh, then I'll just leave. Okay. Have a good
No
night.
problem. Have a good night. All right, let's do a breakout room. Lauren, let's see. All right. All right, Lauren, I'm about to jump on the room.